You can't build trust without talking to people, without engaging them in conversations and communication. It might sound kind of boring, but be predictable. No surprises. If something is going sideways, then they should know how you're going to respond. There should be no surprises. Predictable might sound boring, but it is reassuring. It feels grounded. Think about someone that has managed you in the past. If you did not know how they were going to respond, did you feel like going in and having that tough conversation? You didn't. I'm Elissa Shuck, ex-corporate hiring manager, middle manager turned leadership and career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I experienced layoffs, narcissistic bosses, toxic work environments, and leadership challenges that had me wondering, why in the world did I ever get into management? But I've also had 12 career promotions. I co-founded a company. I've made multiple industry pivots and turned around poor performing teams. I've achieved everything I set out to do and imagined that I could do in my career. I created the Love Your Work Life podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a high-achieving employee and leader, or you're one in the making who's looking to create a career instead of letting it happen on default, who wants a work life that feels happy and satisfying, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. I believe that that communication solves everything. It solves all of our problems. Every problem that we can think of boils down to whether communication happened or not. So I'm going to take you on this little ride through how to master your communication as a middle manager. Now, you might have been a manager for a long time. Maybe you're just getting into management. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is the fact that you're here and you want to improve. And I'm going to walk you through some wonderful ways to do that in the short time that we have together. All right, let me just share my presentation here. All right, my friends, here we are. Influence IQ, Leadership Communication Mastery Workshop. Gallup's 2024 State of the Global Workforce Report literally just came out this week. I'm always waiting for this report. I love diving into it and reading everything about it. One of the little snippets from this I felt was so important for today, and that is that researchers found that 20% of workers experience loneliness a lot. That was their word. Do you experience loneliness a lot? Well, 1 in 5 said yes, they have feelings of loneliness. Now, we can say this is because things are remote now. People aren't hanging out in rooms together anymore. Back to one of my earlier suggestions, communication can solve that. A lot of my career was working remote, my team being completely remote from me. And we did not have these problems, my friend. Everybody felt connected. Everybody felt heard. Nobody felt isolated and lonely. And it doesn't matter if your team is hybrid, remote, on-site. If you master communication, you are going to solve all of the problems that are happening right now, that are all abuzz in the news. Here's another couple little things from the Gallup report. Among employees who are experiencing disruptive organizational change, those who strongly agree they trust their leadership of their organization are 4.5 times as likely to be engaged. And engagement is what we're all after, because engaged people are happy at work. They overproduce. They feel good about being there, and they feel good about their contribution. They're also 62% less likely to feel burned out at work very often or always. They're fine. Now here's where we get into communication. Those who strongly agree their leaders communicate effectively are 4.3 times as likely to be engaged and 65% less likely to feel burned out at work. My friends, communication, communication, communication. It's being the leader that you're meant to be, helping your team understand what's going on, being transparent, being that awesome leader. This is the way to keep your team engaged, which ultimately rises happiness, productivity, all the things. Here's the other interesting thing in the Gallup State of the Global Workforce report. Nearly 60% of managers feel they're doing a good job of recognizing their team's hard work and contributions. Sounds reasonable, right? But only 35% of individual contributors share the same sentiment. We have a disconnect, my friends. And that's what today is all about. How do you help your people feel recognized, appreciated, all the things? It's about communication. I promise that by the end of this workshop, you are going to have a deeper understanding of how to master communication, not just as a tool, but as a powerful influence in your leadership journey. You're going to walk away with enhanced confidence. That means you're going to feel more assured in your ability to convey messages clearly, effectively, ensuring that your ideas are understood and valued by your team and upper management. This is the tricky part of middle management, right? You've got a wonderful team, but you also have people above you, and you're managing that middle all the time. It's not easy to do, but it's possible, and it's possible to make it something that you can do more consistently with some certainty, with some confidence, and even some ease mixed in. You're going to have this strength and trust and credibility. I'm going to teach you strategies to build and maintain trust, making you someone who is reliable and respected. We're also going to talk about elevated leadership presence. This is so important. I coach a lot of people who are in upper level management, and we often talk about executive presence. How do you show up when you're in the presence of executives? So leadership presence is kind of like that, is having this commanding presence that inspires confidence and motivates those around you. Someone taught me a long time ago that a sale is nothing more than a transfer of belief and enthusiasm. And that's a little bit what leadership presence is, that elevated level of belief and enthusiasm that inspires and motivates everybody around you. By mastering these skills, you're going to elevate your communication to a new level. You'll be transforming how you lead and influence your team and stakeholders. And we know those stakeholders are collaborative, cross-functional leaders that you work with, as well as leadership above you at whatever level. You will transform into a more confident and effective communicator, leading your team with clarity and inspiration, ultimately improving productivity, fostering a positive work environment, and I'll just throw in here, being the kind of leader that people will follow, being the kind of leader that people will walk through walls for you. That is the kind of leadership that I experienced in my career. And the strategies I'm going to teach you are going to get you on that path, my friend. So mastering communication and influence for middle management leaders involves 5 things. Just effective communication. What are the foundations of effective communication? Building trust and credibility, influencing skills for leadership, conflict resolution and negotiation. One of my coaching calls the other day was about hey, I have this really entitled person on my team. They say no to things that I need them to do when it comes to helping a cross-functional team and so on. And that was our coaching session, is how do you resolve that conflict? How do you negotiate with that person so that they say yes when you need them to? And of course, we talked about this leadership presence and the impact it can have. Now, for today, we only have time to talk about 3 out of those 5 things. I picked out 3 that I believe are going to have the biggest impact on you immediately today, the next time you go into the office, the next time you get on a Zoom call, the next time you have a one-on-one with one of your employees. Foundations for effective communication is about establishing a strong base by understanding some core principles. This includes clarity, active listening, appropriate feedback to ensure your message is both received and understood, as well as executed, right? You need people to do things. You can't do everything on your own. The 3 parts we're going to talk about in terms of foundations are clarity, active listening, and constructive feedback. Clarity is about articulating your messages clearly and concisely to avoid misunderstandings. Over communication is better than under communicating. Tailor your message in a way that someone understands it. It doesn't mean mixed messages too. You know, sometimes if you say something to one person and you say something different to someone else, do you think your people talk to each other? Yes, they do. So you want to be clear. You want to make sure someone understands. And part of that clarity involves active listening. When you engage in active listening, you are setting your team up, and the leaders that you report to, um, that you understand what they're saying. It's showing that their input is valued. And most importantly, you're building and reinforcing rapport and connection. This is hugely important when it comes to building rapport, or when it comes to active listening. And that rapport and connection is something that keeps building and building and building. Your relationships are more open and transparent, and you're able to get things done. It's amazing when you build this kind of rapport and connection with active listening, you guys can start reading each other's minds. It's amazing how that actually works. The other thing is constructive feedback, providing and receiving feedback in a constructive manner to foster continuous improvement and open dialogue. And when I say constructive feedback, I mean all the feedback. We kind of can get a negative connotation to constructive feedback, but really feedback is what's going right, as well as, hey, I really need you to step up in this area. When you think of constructive feedback as just kind of a feedback loop where you're offering input, they're providing comments back to you. It's like a collaboration cycle. You might even think of it as like agile, where it's just a continuous improvement cycle through this dialogue that happens of, hey, this went really well. And there was this old thing, I don't know if it's even still out there, called the feedback sandwich. You know, something positive up front, something tough in the middle, and then a positive at the end. I do not agree with that. That sends mixed messages, my friends. When you're providing feedback and it is an improvement area, you want to have that be the focus and only focus of that feedback, so that people feel like when you praise them, you're praising them. When you acknowledge them, you're acknowledging them. When you're coaching and guiding and helping them improve, that is the entire focus of that conversation. When you build trust and credibility, you are cultivating a trustworthy and credible presence through consistent actions, transparent communication, and ethical behavior. Trust is the foundation of strong professional relationships. And my friends, you can't build trust without talking to people, without engaging them in conversations and communication. The three components of building trust and credibility are consistency, transparency, and ethical behavior. Consistency means that you are consistent in your words and actions to build reliability. It might sound kind of boring, but be predictable. No surprises. If something is going sideways, then they should know how you're going to respond. And let's just say this. It's responding in a way that's understanding, that seeks to understand before being understood. That's one of the things in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Highly recommend for anybody, especially if you're a leader. There should be no surprises. Predictable might sound boring, but it is reassuring. It feels grounded. Think about someone that has managed you in the past. If you did not know how they were going to respond, did you feel like going in and having that tough conversation? You didn't. Be predictable, my friends. There should be no surprises. It's not boring. It's helpful. It helps people feel secure. Transparency means you're communicating openly about decisions and changes to build trust and reduce uncertainty. It's the kind of visibility that helps everyone feel included, even if their input can't be executed. You as a middle management leader are going to have times when some edict comes down from executives and you have to execute. So when you share it with your team and they have a chance to download a little bit, help you understand their concerns, just the fact of feeling heard helps them let go of their concerns and helps them get on board, even if you can't address their concerns. Even if it's like, hey, everybody, this is what we've got to do. The deadline's changed, the project is put on hold, or there's a new priority. This kind of transparency will get people on your side consistently. And I suppose it should go without saying, but ethical behavior, upholding strong ethical standards earns respect and credibility from your team and your superiors. Super simple. Do the right thing always. There was a book I read some time ago. Oh gosh, the name of it escapes me right at the moment, but it was about social media, and it was early in the days of social media. And I'm Gen X, so I've seen it all, my friends. I've seen doing things without the help of computers and social media and all the great AI tools that we have right now, which I am absolutely so curious about and use on a daily basis. But basically what this person was saying in their book about the influence of social media was, if you don't want your grandma to see it online, don't do it. It's kind of like always doing the right thing. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. If it doesn't feel right, then it can wait until you have time to evaluate it, think it through, run through some scenarios until it does feel right. Leadership presence and impact is about developing a commanding presence that inspires and influences others. It's about honing your nonverbal communication, your emotional intelligence, and strategic storytelling to leave a lasting impact. Nonverbal communication is about body language, eye contact, tone of voice, using these things effectively to reinforce your message. And I understand that we are so much more aware of the challenges with nonverbal communication when it comes to the neurodivergent behaviors in our workplace. So it doesn't have to be eye contact. If it's hard for you to have eye contact, That's no problem. Even the smallest gestures can be very meaningful. Here's what I mean by that. When someone on your team comes in to have a conversation with you, have your notebook handy, write their things down. It shows that you care just by taking some notes and say, hey, I'm just going to write a couple notes down because I want to make sure that I capture everything you're saying and then I have a chance to look at it later. Now, I realize we have Slack and we have our notes in our phones and all of these things, but there's something different about writing it down for you and for them. Because if you're looking at your phone, they don't know if you're taking a note or if you're reading email. If you're writing it down on a notebook and they can see you doing that, if you happen to be in the same room or they can see what you're doing because you're on Zoom, that has a huge impact. Um, Tone of voice, all of these things are helpful to just building impact of your communication with everybody around you. Emotional intelligence. This is about managing your emotions and understand the emotions of others so that you can navigate the complex interpersonal dynamics that are happening. Emotional intelligence is really about you being self-aware about how you are responding and reacting to situations, as well as understanding how might they respond. How might they respond to the deadline being moved up 2 weeks? They might be freaking out. So if you understand that that's how they would be feeling, then you can go into that conversation with a better strategy. How are you going to communicate that to them? What is the plan? Just by understanding and putting yourself in their shoes will help you come up with better communication strategies. It's like asking your brain for help. Hey, how would I feel? All right. How would I want someone to talk to me when I feel that way? It's a lot simpler than we make it. Strategic storytelling. Of course, I love this. Crafting and delivering compelling stories that resonate with your audience. And by audience, I mean, it could be the individual contributors on your team. It could be the cross-functional leaders that you're dealing with on a daily basis. Your audience could be stakeholders. It could be executive management. It could be customers. It doesn't matter, but because compelling stories that resonate drive your leadership vision forward. One of the things that I learned early on in that management training that I was given was about telling stories and creating a vision. Because here is what happens, my friends. We get things done, we achieve goals, we raise the bar, we make things happen from the inside out, not the other way around. It's one thing to have plans and strategies and tactics, but if you have not told the story that creates a vision that people can capture and start to literally see themselves succeeding and achieving that goal, it's going to take longer and it's going to be harder. When you help them through your strategic storytelling to envision what success looks like on the other side of this big project, that's magic. They will feel so compelled to pursue that goal. You will have to hardly do any motivation or correcting or anything else because you've painted the picture and they're changing from the inside out. They are seeing themselves as being part of that achievement. Well, let's go back to this stat. 60% of managers feel they're doing a good job, but only 35% of their team is thinking that they are. I don't know about you, but I needed 100% of my team showing up. Not half, not 35%. We need everybody. In this time of doing more with less, I just did a podcast episode about this. I think it's always been a thing. I don't think doing more with less is new. I think that it's something that we're always trying to do. And it's not about adding more things to your plate. It's about helping people achieve their full potential, helping people just be in it, all in it, not in a way that burns them out, but in a way that is leveraging their skills, strengths, and experience in new ways. Because listen, doing more with less could be elevating. It could be growing the business, not just treading water. There's too many teams out there treading water when you could be overachieving and moving forward, getting things done that you never imagined possible. Let's look back at this stat. Employees who are experiencing disruptive organizational change. It's happening, my friends. Those who agree that their leaders communicate effectively, 4.3 times as likely to be engaged, 65% less likely to feel burned out at work. People who are burned out do not show up as their best selves. You know this is true. You know this is true for you. And if it's true for you, it's true for your people as well. Leading from the middle is hard. I've been there. I've spent my entire corporate career leading from various levels of middle. What I know is if you don't have support, you're stuck between making your boss happy and helping your team. Like, what do? You're throwing your hands in the air all the time. You dread having tough conversations with challenging team members. It's like, oh, you just avoid it. And the more you avoid it and you put it off, you're doing damage to your team. You're doing damage to the person who probably would rise to the level of expectation that you have for them, but you're doing damage to the rest of your team members when you don't have those tough conversations. You struggle with keeping everyone motivated and working together. And if this is all happening, then I know you are losing sleep at night and feeling constantly overwhelmed. Well, I have the solution for you. I'm not going to get into all kinds of, crazy explanations. Part of the reason I'm doing this workshop is not just to educate you, but to let you know about an opportunity that I've created called Strategic Leadership Lab. It's my time-tested plan for leading with influence and authority. The communication strategies that I put together inside Strategic Leadership Lab have worked for me for over 30 years, leading people and teams. Like I said earlier, I'm Gen X, my friends. I know how to make it happen. I know how to leverage all of the tools, but I also understand that this is about humans. This is about human to human. I really believe that people are starting to get tired of tech. And as exciting as all the new developments are and AI that's happening right now, there's some overwhelm in there. And it needs to get back to the core human to human communication. I could not take a business, the team that I took over and their manager had just gotten terminated. Well, the business was down 25% for the year in June. So halfway through the year, they were already running a 25% decrease. I went in, I rolled my sleeves up. I did all of the things that I just described to you, the transparency, the consistent communication, the ethical behavior. I did all of those things. And by end of year, that department had a 2% increase. That's a massive swing from 25% decrease to flat business, basically. I don't think anybody expected that turnaround. But you know what happened? I got a promotion. I was in that job for 6 months and I got a promotion to another department where their manager had been fired. and the team was demoralized and they needed to turn business around. And I did it again using these principles, the exact things I'm going to teach you about how to communicate so that your team responds and you get the things done that you need to get done. It's going to work for you too. When you transform into the influential leader you've always aspired to be, it's because you've developed clear, effective communication strategies to inspire and motivate your team. It means you've mastered the art of influence and persuasion to drive organizational success. It means you have confidence in your decision-making abilities and your ability to lead with conviction. As an influential leader, you are constantly cultivating a positive and productive work environment that fosters creativity and innovation. You're going to have enhanced strategic thinking skills so that you make more informed, impactful decisions. I don't know that people really understand the connection between communication and strategic thinking. When I did Gallup's Strength Finders report, it's really wonderful. Anybody can do it online. But my number one strength on the Strength Finders report is strategic. And I know it makes me a great storyteller. And I might come by it naturally, my friends, but it is a skill that can be developed. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do inside Strategic Leadership Lab. You're going to learn proven techniques for resolving conflicts, fostering collaboration, teams that are gossiping and chit-chatting and a lot of just negative vibes going on. You are going to be able to solve that problem. And most importantly, establish yourself as a respected leader who commands authority and respect. Strategic Leadership Lab is a 12-week program to leverage your unique leadership style. It's not about changing you and putting you into a box. Every single person has a unique leadership style, and I have a process to help you uncover that, confirm that, feel validated by your unique leadership style so that you can elevate your management communication skills. And we're going to do that through this perfect combination of an on-demand course, actionable blueprints. If you need to have a one-on-one with someone, I'm going to give you a blueprint for how to do that. And we're also going to do personalized one-on-one coaching, because as wonderful as a course is and a worksheet is and all those kinds of things, you need someone you can talk to about the very, very specific challenge that you have going on in your leadership experience, whether that is dealing with a difficult person on your team, dealing with a difficult manager above you. We're going to cover it all. That's why I feel like this is such a unique opportunity that isn't really being offered out there, that you get this combination of do-it-yourself kinds of things, but the real life application through the personalized one-on-one coaching. So you can go there right now, ElissaShuck-careercoach.com/strategic leadership lab, dash between each word, and get more information about this and sign up right now, because this is the perfect time to elevate yourself so that your team can be delivering at a higher level. It's a super simple process, my friends. Watch the course, get coached, be a trusted leader. That's it. We're going to take it through step by step so that everything you're learning, the coaching is going to help you put it into action in real life, and your status, the perception of you, whatever you want to call it, you will be a trusted leader. So go to ElissaShuck-careercoach.com/strategic leadership lab. Everything you need to know is there. I'm offering this on an individual basis, but I'm also offering it on a team basis. The tools I use are so powerful for helping you understand who you are, what makes you tick. You're going to get the effective communication course. Your personal dynamics report and review is actually a 1.5 hour session, you and me reviewing all of the things that make you who you are, your natural behavioral strengths in the workplace, and how that affects your leadership style and your communication style. So again, you're not changing who you are, you're leveraging who you are at a higher level. We'll have monthly, just basic Q&A calls. I mentioned the one-on-one coaching calls, the action guides, communication blueprints. This is transformational. This is not transactional. In 12 weeks, you will be a different leader, a better leader. And I don't mean different because something's going wrong right now. I mean feeling more empowered, feeling more certain, feeling like you have stepped in to the leader that you aspire to be, that you've always been meant to be. And when it comes to the team aspect, all of the same things, except the cool little twist to this is that a team of middle managers will get a team dynamics report and a group review amongst all of you so that you can understand each other's workplace behavioral strengths, each other's leadership style. And that kind of knowledge alone, a kind of visibility into what makes your people around you tick, increases engagement, increases positive communication. It gives you so many aha moments of, oh my gosh, yes, this is why we're always butting heads. And with that knowledge, you can change it. You can adapt. You can work more closely and collaboratively together. All right, my friends, I want to see you inside Strategic Leadership Lab. It is the place where you're going to get everything you need. My passion is leadership. I've been leading people for over 30 years. I've been studying leadership for over 30 years. And while there are things that come and go, there is a constant. And the constant is communication. It doesn't matter what tools you have. If you have some kind of gamified tech that's supposed to keep people more engaged, it won't be effective. It won't work until you as a leader are the communicator that you're meant to be. All right, my friends, I will talk to you soon. If you like listening to this podcast, I invite you to visit the Love Your Work Life website at elissashuck-careercoach.com. On the site, you're going to find free resources and information about all of my coaching programs, everything you need to land a great job, advance your career, and lead and build an awesome team. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn.